So it's about a third away through December, and I'm still getting asked, hey, what can I do for Christmas in my organic videos? Well, one of the things at a dealership down in Tucson used to do, and I hope they still do it, is they would actually ask the community to bring in new unwrapped toys, and they would fill one of their larger SUVs with the toys. And they would give like a 10% off of your service bill, 10% more for your trade or something like that as a reward for bringing in the new unwrapped toy. And then once they'd make a big deal about filling up the SUV. Hey, look where we're at on our SUV. Look how full it is. And those are all, you can make those daily. And what I would recommend is incorporating that into your marketing budget, making sure that SUV gets full, but you really want to push it as much into your community as possible. And then on the other side of that, you want your community to nominate where they want the toys delivered. So if you have a good following, a good solid following on your social media, this is a really good time to get the community interaction. Hey, not only do we want you to bring in a new unwrapped toy and help us meet our goal of filling up the SUV full of new unwrapped toys, but we also would like you to nominate a organization that should receive these toys. And I would put like 5 or 6 on there. Maybe I would put a little bit more, but if you leave it open, like nominate anybody in the beginning, like that would have been good for after Thanksgiving, and then you come down to 5 and then they nominate the one. But this being that we're a third away through December, at this point I would literally go to your sales and service team, see if they have some recommendations, and start there. Put those 5 or 6 different organizations in a post, do a video, and then put them up in take a poll in your social media and say, these are the 5 organizations that were selected. Please vote for your favorite of who should receive these toys. Now, it could be, depending on how many toys you think you're going to get, you could deliver to maybe 2 or even 3. So that's kind of your prerogative. Keep in mind that I would contact these organizations ahead of time because they may already be connected with a business in the community, and they might, and I know this sounds bad, but I've worked on that side of things, and we would have storage containers actually full of items that the community had donated, which was awesome, but we would have too much sometimes that it would sit in the storage container until we had, more new kids come in. So sometimes they do have enough stuff, sometimes they don't. So I would call around to the 5 or 6 that were nominated, see if they're taking new donations from new companies, and definitely work with them to make sure you're making the right decision for that organization. Anyway, I digress. Once you have that down, once you have your 5 or 6 picked, then I would definitely concentrate on filling up that SUV. Now, this might get to the point where you're filling the SUV out of your marketing budget. I've seen that happen maybe twice where a company had to do that. The first year, you might have to do that. Just count on it. You might have to push it over the edge by filling it yourself from your marketing budget. But after that, after it gains some steam, that might, the next year will probably be better. So just keep that in mind. Now, as far as wrapping, setting up like a assembly line kind of wrapping stations where somebody cuts the paper to the size of the gift, somebody wraps the gift, puts the top piece of tape on, the side piece of tape on, folds the ends, wraps the ribbon around it or bows or something like that. That makes for great social media content as you're filming that going by. You can do a time lapse of the whole thing happening over the course of, the couple of hours it takes you to wrap everything. And then however you want to deliver them. So if you have a service delivery van that's semi-clean, most of them are pretty clean. I shouldn't say that. Most of the ones I've seen are pretty clean. You can deliver them to the organization in that van. Now, most organizations, probably 99% of them, don't want you to publicly announce where they are, with good reasoning. But you can film yourself leaving the dealership with all the toys. That's fine. Make a big deal out of it. Make a big deal about when they come back and it's empty. Hey, we gave away all these toys to this charity. Thanks so much for participating and getting involved and voting for your favorite charity. Things like that. That whole series for all of December is really impactful. A lot of people don't realize how much car dealerships actually contribute to a community. And it's not just in things like I'm talking about with charities. Car dealerships are actually the single biggest tax revenue generator for any community that they're in. So I'm not saying you should announce that, but what I am saying is that a lot of people don't realize the things that, like I said, 99% of all car dealerships, they do lots for their community. I know one dealership that he actually does a prize patrol where people on his social media nominate a family and then they go do not an interview, but kind of like a meet and greet with the family. Like, hey, what do you need? He's provided a car. He's provided groceries. He's provided finding housing because they were losing their house. He's done all kinds of stuff for the community. He never wanted to talk about it. He just said, nope, that's just stuff I do. I don't want any publicity for it. I get it. But at the same time, the bad rap that dealerships get, it really, in my opinion, I think that kind of levels things out. And I'm not saying you should do it to get, glorify that, oh, I'm, this good person, I'm doing all these good works. But what I am saying is that I think if people see you as human, and that one side of your business is the cost of doing business, and the other side is also the cost of doing business, but in a good way. It's always interesting to me that people give car dealerships such a bad reputation, but nobody ever gets really pissed off at a pharmacy or a furniture store or a jewelry store, right? It's always big bad car dealerships, or real estate agents or mortgage houses or everything. All of those are for-profit businesses. 100% of those are for-profit businesses. Of all of those, the car business has the lowest.
There's a slowdown ahead.
Per unit profit of all of those. And I don't think a lot of people realize that. I remember, way off topic today. ADHD kicking it hard. I remember I would get, and this happened not just once or twice, this happened several times. I would get an extreme amount of pushback on the level of profit that we were making on a sale from the people who owned businesses that made ridiculous amounts of profit. I had one that he was a pharmacist, and he actually owned a compounding, his own pharmacy. And then he gave me a huge amount of crap about how much profit that we were making per unit sale. I had another one that he owned a furniture store. I had another one that he owned a manufacturing for telephones, which is like when people used to have phones on their desk. Phones. For those phone lines and things. I mean, just, it always kind of cracked me up. I'm just like, you guys make like 100 to 300% of profit. I guaranteed if we marked up our cars 100 to 300%, we'd have to close in about 3 days. So just keep that. We, just us girls here, as car people here, we know what we make. So don't let that kind of dissuade you from continuing to try to make a profit. This is a for-profit business. It doesn't say UNICEF car sales in the front of the building. I keep that in mind. There's lots of for-profit businesses that make way more profit per sale than we do. Keep that in the back of your mind, and don't be afraid to ask for that. And go out and be a good person and do shit for your community. That's all I got for this week. Happy selling.